Hey everyone, and welcome to 121 in Flux. I am Peter, that is Connor. Who knows if he's human or not? There's a giant question mark on his chest right now.
They can't tell it's a question mark.
I just think it's apt. I feel like I look at you and I feel question marks around my head. We know about movies on this show, but this episode is the second half of our countdown episode, because we do countdowns every few months, every 4 months give or take. We do a top 50 countdown. Sometimes we might do a smaller one in the future, but so far it's been 50 every time. This is the top 50 movies of the 1990s. We have done the first half of this. We have done 50 through 26. This is going to be numbers 25 through number 1. And the way this works, of course, is that Connor gives one of his entries, I give one of mine. We alternate until we're done, and we explain a little bit along the way. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So make sure you check out part 1, which is already up. But I think without any further ado, Connor, what's your number 25?
My number 25 is The Lion King. This is, classic Disney entry, of course. You've seen this one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good. I have to question with the Disney entries, because it's only a handful that you have for some reason.
I was actually dragged to the theatre when it was re-released like 5 or 6 years ago, because I hadn't seen it. And I saw
Dragged. Did you enjoy it when you saw it?
That was alright, eh? I mean, it was better than a lot of the other Disney animated movies that I'm not particularly fond of.
No, that's fair. You have a weird favourite though, don't you?
It's not weird. Basil the Great Mouse Detective is easily the best one, and anyone who argues with me on that is clearly a fool.
Look, it's very good, but I don't know what to say it's clearly the best. But anyway, Lion King. Everyone knows what The Lion King is, so I don't need to explain it. It's pretty great. It's most people very much enjoy it, unless you're a weirdo like him.
I know, I enjoy Lion King. I like it. Just maybe a few too many songs for my liking.
Yeah, okay, I get that. You don't like musicals, so
I don't know. I do like the voice cast is typically pretty good.
it is. Yeah.
You know, Mufasa had it coming though, just for the record. So I'm kidding, guys. Before I get angry comments, I'm kidding.
As you know, when we have the new version eventually come out, that's going to be your take, isn't it? Yeah, that's going to be your stance going into it. He's got it coming.
Nah, Mufasa didn't have it coming. Bambi's mother, on the other hand, deserved that blow to the head. Yeah.
Can't argue with that one.
My number 25 is The Fifth Element, one that I know Connor's not particularly in love with, but this is a pleasant, light-hearted sci-fi film, and I love how European it is in terms of all the bright poppy colours. You got your flying cars, your space flight, you got your cheesy action movie, like happy ending. All of it is up to my taste. It's basically, Bruce Willis is basically doing his Die Hard stuff, but in space, and that does appeal to me in a lot of ways. It's a really good supporting cast, though. You got Ian Holm in there.
I wanted to like it a lot more than I did, because all the things you're saying should appeal to me. It just it didn't click for me.
Yeah. Plus, as with a lot of movies, I remember a new theatre opened near my house. Like, I think before this there was like a 3-screen one that we'd go to, and then they opened a big proper one, with the 14 screens. Great in the future.
Big multiplex.
Yeah, which at the time felt like a big deal. Obviously now everyone's got got that near them. Most people have multiple multiplexes near them, but I remember this was the first thing I ever saw in that new theatre. So you get that memory. Plus, I was 8 years old. It was exciting.
No, I get it.
So no. Fifth Element, I think it's a good bit of fun. And like with a lot of these movies, part of my childhood. So, what's 24?
That's fair. It's funny you mentioned a certain reference now, because mine is Die Hard 3. Yeah. No, I think it's...
Hold on a second. What is the title of Die Hard 3? Because that's not the title.
No, it's not, but Die Hard with a Vengeance. But, come on.
Say it properly.
Who cares? It's Die Hard 3.
It's Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Yeah, whatever. It's semantics.
I can't wait for the crossover Die Hard with Avengers.
It's probably been done. Someone's already done that parody.
Maybe. I'm proud of that joke, though. Continue.
But no. Obviously, I had Die Hard 2 somewhere in the earlier in the list on the last episode. But I think this is much stronger. I think it really gives him someone to play off of a lot better, right? With Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh yeah, Die Hard 3 is way better than Die Hard 2. I think most people would agree with that. I think.
Yeah, I think it is, because the first two movies he's very much on his own, and he has supporting cast that he's playing off of in limited capacities. Whereas this is no, we're giving him a partner essentially.
I mean, he had Al in the first one a lot more, because 2 was the weird one where it kind of stripped that away completely. Like, Al had a cameo at the start, and then there was no one for the whole thing.
No, you're right. There was Al in the first one, but again, it was very much short bursts where he can interact. It wasn't like an extended partnership. Whereas this one is a lot more. No, they're doing it together.
Interesting bit of trivia. This was originally a script called Simon Says that had nothing to do with Die Hard, and then they turned it into the third Die Hard movie.
Yeah, why not? It worked.
Yes. But no, good villain as well, Jeremy Irons. Easily the second best Die Hard movie. I think that's a pretty fair statement to make. And it's good. My number 24 is Chungking Express. Chungking Express is a film by Wong Kar-wai. I actually butchered the name so badly in the actual recording that I'm just adding this audio bit in later. I was just going to put a subtitle, a caption on the screen with the correct name, but then the audio people wouldn't hear what the correct one was, so I'll just insert this in. Wong Kar-wai. I said his name out of order when I said it on the show, but he's done a lot of really kind of atmospheric dramas, as I describe his filmography, and this is my favourite of his. It's an anthology of 3 stories. They're all love stories, but they're all very touching. They're all very, very atmospheric. It's all the types of stories where it feels like the city they're in is like part of the character. There's a lot of mood, a lot of atmosphere, and it's just a really good stuff. And I mean, all of his kind of like fall into that category. You have In the Mood for Love. You have 2047. You have Ashes of Time. Like they're all very atmospheric films. But Chungking Express for me, I think, works the best because I feel like having it be 3 different stories actually benefits his storytelling style a little bit. Because I feel like his other films, while I like them, I do feel like they go on a little bit long for what they are. Whereas because this is 3 separate stories,
condensing it down a bit plays it stronger.
I think it works for me even better than his other stuff.
Just based on, because I've not seen any of these movies. You say, they're all very atmospheric. Do you think usually he plays a bit too much into the atmosphere, and doesn't fill enough with the plot, so to speak? Whereas this one, because it's condensed, it's got to do it a little bit quicker than usual.
Possibly. I think it's. I'd say it's less that it's not filled in, and maybe just that it's stretched out over too much time. And some people might say, "What's the difference?" Well, no, there is a difference because I feel like
there is,
yeah, the story's fine on its own. It's just stretched out too long. Whereas here, I feel like all 3 stories I remember liking really fondly. So
better paced is what you're saying, yeah.
Better paced, yeah. But it's still not super quick. Like, it's still like very ambient. It's still very like kind of soaking in the.
I would expect nothing less from your tastes.
What can I say? I've got a taste. But yeah. Chungking Express, very good.
Cool. So my number 23 is this decade's teen movie is Clueless. Yeah. We talk about a lot of that. There's often one big of the of these types of movies. There's one big one a decade. Often that sticks out. The 2000s as Mean Girls, for example. This is very much that movie for this decade, and it's just one of those teen movies. And if you've seen one of them, you know what you're getting. It's pretty funny. It's very likable, coming of age. I'm a big fan of these movies, as we've discussed at length in the past.
Never seen it.
No, of course not. No.
I did see some of the TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't see that, so can't compare.
Yeah, I think some of the cast were the same, but they weren't all. Like Alicia Silverstone definitely wasn't the lead.
That's hardly surprising, is it?
Yeah. I mean, you say that as if she has a huge career. I mean,
no, but I think at that point there was the idea that she might go somewhere.
Yeah. There was she's going to be a movie star, and then she didn't really become. I mean, she was in. She's
still a name enough that you recognise.
Yeah, but let's be honest. I don't really know who she is because she was in Batman and Robin. Let's be honest.
That's fair. I'm not sure I can argue with that. But like I say, at that point in time, it was very much okay. She could be going somewhere, so you're not going to throw her on TV.
Yeah.
Whereas now, I can definitely see her doing TV now.
Oh, I mean, she is. She's doing a show with Mina Suvari soon.
Which I've clearly forgotten about because we talk about way too many new TV shows.
Don't ask me. Don't ask me what network it is, though. I will never get it, or what the name of the show is.
No, I believe you. I'm sure we discussed it on the TV news at some point.
Yeah. So, My number 23. Oh, now we're going with a childhood favourite. We're going with something a bit more jovial. Home Alone is a staple of any good childhood. For anyone who, unlike Connor, actually enjoys Christmas, Home Alone it's basically the kids' version of Die Hard, and as that, it's exceptional.
I'm not a big fan. What could I say?
It's great. It's weird to talk about Home Alone. I feel like it's one of those things where I've been watching it since the age of like 3 that it feels weird to like analyze and like, so, oh, why does this work? It
Yeah.
works because it's a kid who's fighting some bad guys on his own with traps. That's why it works. Although, admittedly, watching it when you get a little bit older and you kind of like, sort of like, actually pay attention to the story of it. Oh no, like he was having a rough time with his parents, and by the end of the movie, he misses his parents, and there's the Christmas spirit and all the rest of it. You got all that.
Yeah, none of that when you're a kid, though, is it? It's traps.
It's traps, yes, but I still very much enjoy the traps. I also enjoy using the gif of the mom realizing she's left him home alone on the plane and just shouting out Kevin. I enjoy that gif very much. I abuse it.
GIF.
Yes. Especially when I happen to be talking to someone named Kevin, in which case it's especially useful.
It's very appropriate. I mean, it always works, but it just works on an extra level when you're actually talking to a Kevin.
Yeah, especially since I've got a friend named Kevin, and I particularly enjoy the sentence early on in the film from one of the brothers who says, "Kevin, you're such a disease." That was a staple.
A regular insult. Was it?
Yes. What's funny about Home Alone is every couple of years I see someone saying, "Oh, here's something you never noticed in Home Alone that'll blow your mind."
Is this the letter in the bin?
I mean, the plane
The
ticket.
ticket, yeah. I don't know why I said letter. I was
Yeah.
thinking envelope.
Yeah, no, like, oh, did you not notice that they actually threw his plane ticket in the trash, and that's why they don't realize they've got a ticket spare when they go. And I'm like, I always noticed they put the
Blinkers on it,
ticket in the like. That was all. It was always obvious. I don't know why this is something people don't notice until they're in their 30s, but for some reason,
Do you know what it is? It's because they didn't notice it as a kid when they were like 5, right?
Yeah,
And then they didn't watch it for 20 years.
very possibly. I mean, that may be true. That may be the reason for it, but
And then they see it as adult eyes. And with adult eyes, it's really immediately obvious.
yeah. But I will say this: the real stars of this movie are Pesci and I can't remember the other guy's name, but
Yeah.
Marv, those two.
Yeah, no, they understand.
Like they steal the movie. It's them. Not only their pain, but even their plotting, them watching the house, them conniving, coming up with the plans, the sort of stupidity of them. Something Stern. That's his name. Something Stern.
I'm never going to be able to tell you. I've not seen the movie enough.
God
Sorry.
damn it. But yeah. So Home Alone, fantastic. It is. I mean, I would say Die Hard's my favourite Christmas movie, but Home Alone's number 2. Like Home Alone's right in there behind it.
I guess it would make my list because I don't. I mean, it's there's not enough of them that I've seen to have it not on a list. But I don't think it'd be particularly high.
For some reason, Christmas movies are better when there's a bad guy to fight and to beat.
I mean, I don't think I'm going to argue with that. But it's all make them even better. Not being a Christmas movie.
Oh, shut up! You're so wrong. So wrong. What's your number 20 something? 22.
22. It's one you actually mentioned on the last part. This is Scream. That's a bit delayed there, wasn't it? I thought you weren't going to do anything. I left a pause for you to do something.
I'll be honest, I hesitated because I was going to properly scream. And I thought, no, I can't do that. It's like,
And then you realised the time. And you
yes,
went, maybe
okay.
not.
No, I'll just do more of a gasp.
Yeah. Full disclosure, it's almost 4 a.m. here where we're recording. So, yeah, screaming is bad. But we talked about it quite a bit on the last part. It's the deconstruction of the tropes and how it plays into that, and I think it's a lot of fun. So yeah, it's one that I can always happily rewatch on Halloween or around that time, just in October, I guess.
My number 22 is As Good as It Gets. This is the Helen Hunt, Jack Nicholson movie. This was one where I discovered it maybe in my late teens, and I was surprised at how much I liked it. Like, it was kind of on TV. I put it on, not thinking anything of it, and it's actually a really good drama, a really good, funny drama though. It's like, I don't want to say dramedy per se, but Like Jack Nicholson he's an asshole, right? He's a complete and total asshole.
I buy it.
And the story of the movie is him realizing he's an asshole, and like maybe coming to like not be seen as an asshole by Helen Hunt. It's actually a really
There's a reason you relate to this.
shut up.
I'm just saying.
I mean, I don't know. If you say I can win over Helen Hunt, I mean, I suppose I can.
No, I was more just saying that you're an asshole. But...
Yeah, but you know, he's got like a was it OCD or ADHD? But you know, he's
Those are very different things. I mean, I know they're both acronyms, but
yeah, I think it was OCD. But no, he's very like like strictly OCD. Like he can't have anything out of order. He has to do everything his way. Multiply that by asshole factor, and that's his character. But it's actually kind of a heartwarming film.
Does he try using the OCD as an excuse for being an asshole?
A little bit.
Yeah, I think I probably would.
I don't think he even thinks of it. I don't think he even thinks he needs an excuse.
Doesn't realize he is one.
Yeah, I think he's just like, no, I'm right. Everyone else is wrong. Therefore,
Yeah,
I am not the asshole.
Yeah.
I think that's his attitude. But no, it has been a while since I've watched it, but it's a very good film.
Oh, cool. 21. So my 21 is Groundhog Day. It's the classic looping movie, and it's pretty funny, and it's heartwarming. It's essentially a rom-com, but with a gimmick. And the best rom-coms have gimmicks. That's all I'm saying.
I don't entirely disagree with that, actually.
Like another good one is something like in Time. You got a time travel aspect to it.
I never saw it in Time, but
it's pretty solid. But the best ones have a gimmick that stops them just applying to a certain subset of people who usually like them, and go, do you know what, you can enjoy it for this side of things, and the rom-com part's just on the side almost.
It's a Harold Ramis film, worth mentioning that.
Yeah.
And Bill Murray, of course, steals the show.
Of course.
Oh, he doesn't steal it. I mean, he is the show, but
he is. Yeah, he is the whole movie. It doesn't work without him.
Yes. Interestingly, Groundhog Day is a movie that you'd expected me to have watched growing up, but I didn't actually see it until I was maybe like 20. For some reason, it was one of those movies that just kind of slipped by.
Slip by. Yeah, no, they happen, don't they?
I was like, oh, why haven't I seen this Harold Ramis Bill Murray movie? That's just weird.
Yeah.
So, I saw it much later. My number 21 is a Batman Mask of the Phantasm. Was there a moment there when I said Batman, you're like, where's this going to end?
Yeah.
Because I hate Returns.
No, I know you well enough.
Yeah. Say forever? What? That seems weird. No, Batman Mask of the Phantasm is the animated movie that came out of the animated series that was originally meant to be direct-to-video, but was so damn good, they changed their minds and said, you know what, we're putting this in theaters. That is...
Started a bit of a trend for them, didn't it?
How that went. It's fantastic. It's a deconstruction of Batman, what makes him tick. You got the Joker in there. You got all the things that make the animated series there. They even brought Shirley Walker in to do like a big orchestral version of her music from the show. It's very, very good. And for many people, this is still the best Batman movie. I don't know if I'd put it quite to that standard, but it is definitely up there.
It's up there, yeah.
I definitely like it more than any of the Tim Burton or Joe Schumacher films, easily.
No, I absolutely agree with that, and I like those. Well, not all of those movies. I like some of those movies. I can't say I like all of them. That's a lie.
Yeah.
But even the ones that I do like are not anywhere near that level of being a good Batman movie.
No, it's a fantastic Batman movie, and the animation is fantastic as well. It's got that dark style that the show had.
But fun fact, the way they always got that style is, instead of animating on white paper and then coloring black, they just use black paper and put in the whites and colors. So it's got a completely different atmosphere to what most animation of the time does.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. Yeah. It fits the dark world of Batman. What's your 20?
My 20. Oh, this is one that we covered on the show a while back. This is Galaxy Quest. This is the satirical deconstruction of Star Trek, essentially, and we had a look at it, and it's very funny, a lot funnier than I thought it was going to be, even though it had a reputation.
Oh, because you hadn't seen it before that,
hadn't
you? Oh, that's right.
Even though it had a reputation, I still thought, it'll be a good deconstruction, but I didn't expect it to be quite as funny as it was. So no, I very, very much enjoyed that.
Never give up, never surrender. My number 20, and this is definitely in the childhood realm here for me in terms of this is something I grew up with, but it's something that I think holds up. Like I feel like
I'm
I
intrigued.
I feel like there's certain people of a certain age who will hear this who are probably older than us who will write this off as that was dumb kid shit when you were a
They're
kid.
gonna laugh at us.
But the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie is fantastic, and I will not hear a bad word said against it.
I'm sorry. No, I am with the others. I like that movie well enough, but I don't think it's a good movie.
Oh no, no. That first Turtles movie is solid. I will not hear this slander, this absolute slander. It's fantastic. Those practical suits look way better than that CGI crap from the
I'm not
Bay
saying
movies.
it's okay. I'm not saying that it's a worse movie than those because I mean technically I can't 'cause I haven't seen those, but I'm willing to just stake money on it that this is better.
Well, no, I'm not even just comparing it to that. I'm comparing it to its own sequels. I'm comparing it to
Yeah.
no. I think it's a good movie. It's dark. It's gritty. There's heart to it. Like I'm not gonna lie. Every time they're like round that fireplace, like trying to contact Splinter through meditation, and he gives them this speech, and they all start crying, and the music swells up. I'm in that. I care when they all think Raph is dying. It's so good.
I think you might have a little bit of nostalgia goggles on this one.
This isn't just goggles. This is good. Like rewatching this years later, it holds
When
up.
did you last rewatch this?
2, 3 years ago.
Okay, fair
No.
enough.
First Turtles movie holds up. Back me up in the comments, people. Let this ginger know what's what.
Well, I enjoy it for what it is, and that is a Goofy Kids movie.
No. 2 and 3 are Goofy Kids movies. 1 is not. 1 is much darker than I think you're remembering.
Maybe. I haven't seen it in a long time, admittedly.
Yeah, no. 1 does not pander to children. 2 very much pivots in that direction because they wanted more kid-friendly stuff. But 1 is really good, so no. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a good movie. What's your number 20? Or 19, rather.
I was going to say I already did 20. My 19. This is one that you watched not so long ago because you had to, and this is That Thing You Do.
Okay.
I know you and Matt covered it on Overload, what, 2 or 3 months ago now?
That's actually probably twice as much as that, but yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. For some reason, I thought it was more recent.
Yeah, it's like 5 or 6 months, yeah. But
I guess that just shows how little attention I pay to your Overload schedule. But no, this is a blast of a movie. I'm a sucker for this. The band in the 60s. Riding on the back of the Beatles essentially, and that wave of what came after it. And I think the comedy that comes out of that is pretty great.
that's not bad. I had fun with it. It's no
Yeah.
turtles, but I mean, it's all right.
Come on, really?
It's all right. I was just about ready to strangle anyone if I ever heard that song again by the end of the movie.
Oh
though.
no, I still love. Even by the end of it, I was still going. Yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah. No.
I could quite happily throw that song on right now.
It's a fun, light-hearted movie. I can't fault enjoying it. My next pick, number 19, something a bit more serious and dark, is Copland. This is the Sylvester Stallone movie. Harvey Keitel's in there. And it's the idea, it's this small suburb town where all the cops from New York City live. But a lot of them are corrupt. And Stallone plays the sheriff of the small town. And ultimately he decides not to let the corruption go. And despite the fact that they resist, despite the fact that they threaten him, his family, everyone he cares about, his whole thing is no, he's going to uphold the law. And I know you don't like action movies, so you're thinking, oh, it's a Stallone action movie. It's not.
Yeah, I'll be honest.
It's not. It's James Mangold. It's a thriller drama. It's just
That makes me more interested. I'll be honest.
it's a seriously good movie. It's not like I know Stallone's the sheriff and he has to fight the corrupt cops. That sounds
It
like
sounds like a Stallone action movie.
it's not. It really isn't. It is a serious, slow-paced drama thriller. It's good stuff. That's one that I kind of stumbled into, a long time ago, not knowing what it was, and but this is really good. Like what yeah, it's not a dumb action movie. Like that, just to alleviate the fears that you have there.
No,
Copland's good.
I'll tell you what, Nick. Once you said it was James Mangold, I believe that. But the description sounded suspiciously like a dumb action movie.
Nah, in fact, this is probably the first time I've seen Stallone away from that. Like his earliest film where I can remember him being, no, he's not part of like a. Well, I suppose Rocky doesn't count as a dumb action movie, but Like, other than Rocky, this was him away from the action stuff
Yeah.
for the first time.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I'm sure someone's going to bring up some sort of stupid comedy that he did in the 80s. Like, I know they exist. This is the first one I encountered with him doing more serious roles.
Well, fair enough. Is he good in it?
Sorry?
Is he good in it?
Oh, he is good, yeah. He's very good in it. His whole thing in the movie is that there was a gun that went off next to one of his ears, and he's deaf in one ear. So it's a really good movie. What's your number 18?
My number 18 is The Matrix. This is one that I actually rewatched at the start of the year, back when we were doing Sci-Fi Month, and it's one that, upon rewatching it, I like more than I thought I did. Because this is one that, obviously, watching it, a decade ago, whatever, I obviously liked it a lot. But over the years, I kind of just thought it kind of got lumped in with with the sequels and just with other things of the time, where it was like thinking it wasn't quite as good as it was. But upon rewatching it, it is actually a really strong movie, and I'm glad that I've rewatched it recently and remembered that.
No, you're right. The sequels suck, and it's
They just sully the memory a little bit.
I think the thing is, though, is watching it now is I think the ending just kind of works on its own. You don't necessarily have to have the story continue.
Never watch the sequels again.
Yeah, just watch the first one and leave it. Yeah, that's basically the best advice possible. But no, that's cool. My number 18 is Braveheart. Actually, jokes will be made because I'm Scottish, but it's actually a really good movie. It's a well-directed movie. It's I can be hit and miss on these types of stories.
Historical epics.
I think more often than not, I'm not as into them as much. But there's a few exceptions. I mean, Gladiator's probably another big exception to that. But this is really solidly done. With good performances, and the action scenes are in particular very good. The war scenes, because it's all practical, pretty much. They're really effective, they're really brutal, it's really hard hitting. James Horner's score is absolutely fantastic.
Oh, it is incredible, isn't it?
It's one of the best parts of the movie. It carries you through the whole thing. But no, this is great. I mean, it's a long movie, but it's just one that I never regret going through the journey every time I watch it again.
Yeah, it's just a little under 3 hours?
Something like that, it's like 240 or something like that.
Yeah. But again, I think that plays in most historical epics kind of are that sort of length, 2.5, 3, 3.5.
And I've seen it so much now that I love spotting at one point there's a white van in the background driving past.
Is there?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever caught that.
It's just funny to notice that.
I've ever edited out for one of the releases.
I mean, maybe when they do the 4K Ultra HD release, maybe they'll.
I remember that was in Lord of the Rings, in I think it was Fellowship. Originally, there was one of the scenes in the Shire. You could just see all these vans in the background. They did edit out for one of the home releases, though. Yeah. And obviously, people thought that their friends who said, "Oh no, that's there," they thought they were going crazy, and they had to they did confirm it a little bit later that they edited it out.
Yeah, because once Peter Jackson noticed that he couldn't, he's like, "No, we're fixing this now. That's going to drive me mad."
Yeah, I don't know if it was for the original home release or if it was for the extended release that they edited it out, but it's gone now.
It could have been any of them.
It could have been.
There's been so many releases at this point. It could have been any of them. All right. What's your number 17?
17. Oh, the next Disney movie. This is Beauty and the Beast. I love this one. This has so much atmosphere to it. Like, this is the one that I think that you'd probably enjoy most. I don't know if you've seen it.
I remember when I was a kid. I don't really remember much about it.
And all the stuff in the forest and the castle, it's just got such a fantastic atmosphere to the potential horror of it. And obviously, they play that up with the Beast himself for quite a while. Of, is a big scary beast, right? And in this creepy castle in the forest, and it's got such that great tone to it. Of course, you've got the songs and all the kitchenware and teapots, clocks, all lamps, all the usual
stuff you find in a dining room and stuff. Yes.
Yeah. But it's not just the dining rooms. You got like the wardrobes as well. It's all over the castle. And
how did we get to the point where you're just listing furniture? Like
I was trying to think of what are the main ones in the movie, and I kind of just blanked for a second. Like which are the main ones?
You get rugs. There's a vase here.
I don't think there is any rugs. I mean, I'm sure there are rugs in the movie. I don't think any of the rugs are people. because obviously that's the point. They were people, and they were all the people who worked in the castle.
Yes.
And that's where most of the heart of the movie comes from. Some people will tell you it's the romance between the pair, but no, it's not. It's these all these ordinary people affected by what happened. That's the interesting part. But I like it a lot.
I'm sure there's an audience who would just rather he stayed the Beast.
Oh, there definitely is an audience for that.
No, just a kinky version.
Yeah, they're called furries.
My number 17 is Gattaca. Going back to a science fiction pick here. This is, you're giving that look. Is Gattaca coming up?
I think I forgot about it.
Oh, that's a shame.
Oh, it is. I do like that movie a lot.
Look at that soul-destroying look in the face. Look at it.
I'm just scanning my list, going, did I forget about it, or is it still to come? I don't think I said it. I'm looking here.
Oh dear.
No, that's disappointing.
You made a huge
I always
mistake.
forget something.
Yeah. No, Gattaca's fantastic. Ethan Hawke, Uma Thurman. It's a wonderfully grounded science fiction film, which is about exploring the idea of social constructs, right? That's a big part of science fiction, is when you get to do that. And the whole thing here is that people can now predict, based on just a reading of your of the embryo, right? When you're in your mother's belly, is that later on there's a probability you'll get this disease and die at this age, or there's a probability you'll live till X age, or whatever. And based on how long you're going to live and how healthy you might be from that reading, you're essentially split into a class system based on that. So no long life, okay, you can be a janitor. Or you're going to have a long life, or you can go to law school. They'll kind of split it up based on that. And it's about defying expectations and saying, no, just because it's said that doesn't necessarily mean...
Being more than what society says that you should be.
Yeah, so obviously there's a lot of allegories there, and it's handled perfectly. Again, beautiful music in this one.
Oh, it's incredible, yeah. I do love it.
It's one of those very clean sci-fi movies where it feels like a sort of clean, like, corporate future.
It's very clinical, and I think that plays into a lot of it. Is in the corporate offices where he is, everyone is he's always cleaning, right? Because you can't have any DNA left around.
Yeah, and also just the idea that people being told they're bound to be successful doesn't give them the hunger to really go for it, because they expect that they're going to be successful. So now there's a lot of good themes in there. No doubt this is one we will do in an Influx one day, because it's a pretty good movie.
And as much as I forgot it, it was represented on my sci-fi list. I'm pretty sure of that. So I spoke about it then.
I think so. What's your 16?
My 16 is Fight Club. Classic. I love this movie. It's one that it plays a lot better on a rewatch as well. There's so much in there to just the little smaller things to catch. There are some movies designed for watching multiple times, and I think this is one of them. And this really deals with. I mean, I guess most people have seen it right now, but it's one of those the rare movies where I don't think anyone spoils, because obviously first rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club, and people weirdly stuck to that, even on the internet. I don't think I've ever seen anyone spoil this movie, on any level. Have you?
I don't know. I can't remember, but I mean, I don't really. No more or less than I'd remember anyone spoiling another movie.
Well, no. I just think I thought it was always really notable to me, because whenever this is brought up on the internet, people just say that line, and that's pretty much all I get. Like whenever I see it brought up anywhere in a comments section, I never see spoilers. I think that's really intriguing that people took that to heart, like no other movie. But no, I love the way it's played. I love the music. I love the Pixies song at the end, and then that whole moment is just beautiful. And yeah,
I've seen this once and I didn't like it when I saw it.
Did you not?
It was a long time ago though. Admittedly, it was I don't know, early 2000s. A couple of years after it came out. And I wasn't into it at the time. I might feel differently now. It's been such a long time. I was in my early teens when I saw it last time.
Yeah.
So I might feel completely differently now, but I wasn't in love with it at the time.
It is one I liked well enough the first time I saw it, but it was the second or third time that I saw it that I really it really clicked for me. Seeing all the things and the way they lead into each other. Once you got to that and the intricacies of how it overlaps, that's where it really worked for me.
I just remember thinking there was certain things that were stupid. I remember thinking that the running joke about Meatloaf's tits were kind of
No, that's fair.
stupid. I know that's a weird thing. Like, that's the thing. Out of all the things I remember about that movie, that's one of the few things I remember. Like, there's entire chunks of that I've forgotten. I remember Helena Bonham Carter was in it. I couldn't tell you a thing about her character at this point. I've forgotten her completely.
She's a pretty essential character as well.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even remember what most of the plot was outside of starting a fight club and then it kind of becoming like a militant group almost by the end. Other than that, like, you know, I remember the twist because you remember the
Obviously,
twist,
yeah.
but that's about it. Like, I don't, I don't really remember anything else. But hey,
I think that's one we'll have to do at some point, right?
well, interestingly, we've done a few Fincher movies, and so far we've done them in order that they were released. So we have to do the game before we get to Fight Club.
I did not realize we'd done them all in order so far.
Because we did Alien 3, and then we did 7.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So we should really do the game if we're going to do more Fincher next.
We should. And you know what, that's something that I just hadn't noticed that we'd done because it was just accidental, right?
Yeah, it wasn't planned. It was just.
Yeah.
Anyway, so my number 16.
16.
This is one that I watched for the first time last year, and we did talk about it. And that is Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me.
I'm gonna jump in. It's my 15.
That happened last part.
It did it? Yeah.
And in the first half. Odd structure for sure, but holy shit, once it hits its points and its notes and its end game, it lands. It freaking lands.
It's funny because as well, I liked it well enough when we watched it, but this is something I like even more after the last season of Twin Peaks. The way that once I understood where it fit within the mythology and the pieces it was playing with even more, I think that's a bigger meaning.
I think that's something that surprises a lot with the new season is that there was so many big elements that were set up in that movie that were becoming big parts of it.
Yeah.
And it didn't necessarily feel like it at the time. At the time, it felt like...
It was this little side story.
Yeah, we had all these extra things added into the movie when it wasn't part of the show, but because the new season really took them and ran with them, all of a sudden those feel more important. That said, though, the stuff that does work in the movie no matter what is the tragic story of Laura and how messed up her life was, and it's like you could almost buy none of these supernatural or mystical elements are real. It's just a story about a girl who's completely lost it, and this is all her trying to cope with the abuse. Like, you can read it that way if you want. Now, given that we've seen the rest of the show, we're pretty confident it's not that.
Yeah, you have to stop reading it that way eventually.
Yeah, but if you watch the movie on its own, it would kind of work like that.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because we have a friend who loves this movie, but has not seen any Twin Peaks of the show at all.
Which is baffling. I have to imagine the first 30-40 minutes feel out of place if you've only watched the movie.
You'd think, but he claims he loves it.
Yeah,
I mean, he has some oddball taste here or there anyway, to be fair.
Yeah.
But I think it is interesting because it is all about this tragedy of where you know where it's going, and there are all these things of, oh, I know about this part, because obviously the original series part of that is the mystery of what happened, the investigation, and a lot of this, it plays with a lot of those beats that happened, but just seeing them from her perspective,
which I think was actually one of the biggest problems with the first time watch. I think was that it felt like we were going through all these checkpoints of things we already knew about. I feel like a rewatch will be even better because I won't care because I've already seen it. I'll just be watching it for
it's one of those expectations. It does change it a little, I think.
Yeah, because this was kind of hated when it first came out because it wasn't a conclusion or a continuation of the show. It was a prequel.
Yeah, but now it's an essential part of the mythology, and it's you can't really watch the third return season without this, in my opinion. I think it doesn't work.
But it's heartbreaking, it's beautiful, it's tragic, it's dark, it's all the things that I love when David Lynch gets going.
Yeah. And of course, you've got the music. You've got all the. It's obviously Twin Peaks had a lot of really great music, but this has a lot of really dark themes in it that it introduces.
Yeah. So no, Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me. That was your 15, which means my number 15. Interestingly, we're swinging back around to Fincher with 7. The dark cop thriller, Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt, looking for a serial killer who's basing all of his murders on the 7 deadly sins. Really dark, really wonderful, and I think it's higher than it would have been had we not rewatched this for the show earlier this year or last year, whenever we did that. I can't remember.
I think it was last year.
My concept of time has went a bit wonky.
Yeah.
But yeah, so having rewatched it though, and really rediscovering why the character sort of drama of it works, and why the arc itself works beyond just the fun. Oh, there's a killer on the loose, we have to get him. It had a bit more going for it than I remembered, and as much as I think Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me is one that might rise, like, because I'm thinking about this, I'm like, I think Fire Walk With Me could rise above a few of these, in the future.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
But like Seven is a really strong film. It's really good direction. So yeah, what's your 15? For 14, sorry.
14. One that was actually mentioned a few ago. This is Braveheart.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, I didn't want to jump in because there was a few in between.
Of course, yeah, don't spoil it.
Yeah, we covered most of what it was. It's a big historic epic. I'm actually a sucker for historical epics, unlike you, where it's the exception.
Yeah, there's a few I like, but there's a lot that I just think are overlong and.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for that sort of stuff in general. But this is expertly directed and stands out amongst historical epics as being pretty fantastic.
Yeah, it was so weird that all of a sudden, like, Mel Gibson was like, "Oh, he can direct, shit," like,
yeah,
as well.
And now he's pretty well respected as a damn good director.
Not as a person, but as a director for
as
sure.
As a director, yeah, not as a person. And make sure you take that sentence in full context.
Yes.
Don't cut out the first part.
Oh, I'll cut it out. I'll make you sound like a right dick. But. Yeah, the Braveheart's great. Can't fault it. And every so often, people will just ask me to quote lines from it because I have the accent.
Your accent's not strong enough.
I can put it on though if I really want to go for it.
But anyone can put it on.
Well, yeah, but it's I'm good at it because it's an extension of my own accent.
You're just exaggerating. I'm with you.
When I get sarcastic, I go full Scottish.
Yeah.
Did you? Aye. Anyway, so what was that? Was your 14?
14, yeah.
My number 14 is Man in the Moon. This is a film actually when I saw when I was young, I hated because I was expecting a Jim Carrey comedy, and I didn't get a Jim Carrey comedy. But when I watched this again in my late teens, or maybe just hitting 20, I think this is a wonderful film. I guess it's a biopic, and I don't typically like biopics, but I think Andy Kaufman is such a weird person, and you've got Jim Carrey who dreamed of playing him, like he was a big fan of him, that this all just kind of clicks into place in such a wonderful way. And it plays with who he was and how he always liked to, essentially, like, part of his comedy was to, like, deceive people until he revealed what was actually going on. To the point when he announced he had cancer, people didn't believe him because he was known for telling fibs about about himself and what was going on. And it's actually wonderfully touching in places, and seeing his weird, different kind of comedy and how he introduced that to the world through things like Saturday Night Live and through Taxi, which is the sitcom he was on, which I'd actually seen some of. I'd watched some of the just obviously repeats. I wasn't around in the 70s to watch it, but when it was on, like, late night on cable, like I'd watch that show. Interestingly, Danny DeVito, who's in the movie, was also in that show, and they got around that by just kind of not having his character be in the scenes. They just never mention him, like, just because he was a friend of Kaufman's, and that's why he's in the movie. So they just got around it with having him just not be around.
Yeah, why not?
But I think they got, like, the actors back, even though they were much older, just to do it. Why not? Christopher Lloyd was in that show, so they have him being his character and stuff.
It's kind of nice.
Yeah, no, it was. You get the feeling that he was such a weird guy, but everyone who got to know him he was a bit of an acquired taste, but everyone who did get to know him eventually kind of respected him. Yeah, even though he was really weird. So it's a very good, and obviously the REM song "Man in the Moon" is inspired by Andy Kaufman, which is why the movie is named Man in the Moon, and it is in there. They also wrote a new song for the movie as well, and the ending kind of plays into one of the conspiracy theories about his death, in a really kind of fun, respectful way, where it's just kind of like, yeah, what if, kind of. So, Man in the Moon's really good. Like, I think it's a really good film. So, yeah, what's your 13?
My 13 is Schindler's List. This is, get as dark as you can get, I suppose. I
like to crack jokes whenever you have an entry, but I feel like there's not much I can go here without it beginning.
No, you get offensive if you crack jokes to this one. But, no, I think this is a beautiful movie. I'm a big fan. It's just this. It's wonderful journey. It's very harrowing but heartwarming.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's the hope of what Schindler did, despite all the misery and darkness.
But obviously the horror that it is, and it's so. It just beats you over the head with how horrific it is for so much of the movie.
It's definitely one of the most stark films that Spielberg's made. I respect it a lot. It's not one that I feel the need to ever go back and watch again. Like I watched it once. I think everyone should watch it once, but
No, I get that.
I think now I'm.
It's not one that you could watch super often, but it's every 5 years, every decade, throw it on. Fantastic music as well, especially the ending. That whole suite at the end is just some of the best music in cinema, in my opinion. It's beautiful.
I thought of a joke that's not offensive.
Go on.
I'm still in it, admittedly. I'm stealing this from someone much smarter than I am. But I thought I'll say this joke because it's good. Do you know why Liam Neeson was cast in Schindler's List?
Go on.
He's good at making lists. And Stephen went, that's exactly what I'm looking for, Liam. It's exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah. It's funny because I see a lot of people make jokes like this in real life, because there's an elevator company called Schindler's Lifts.
Someone named their elevator company Schindler's Lifts.
Yeah, it's a Schindler lift. So you get a lot of jokes. I don't know if the company's called Schindler's Lifts, but it's a Schindler lift.
Right. Okay.
So you get a lot of jokes about that. As you can imagine, I'm sure. Everyone's made that joke if they've seen it.
Yeah, my joke, by the way, was stolen from Ricky Gervais, just for the record. And Liam Neeson himself was in the scene, and he made the joke.
It was.
It's good.
Fantastic scene.
Yeah, Life's Too Short, was that the name of the show?
I think that's the one,
Yeah, look up the clip. Liam Neeson, Life's Too Short. So it's worth a watch. Anyway, what number was that?
13.
13. My number 13 is one you've mentioned. It is Galaxy Quest.
Cool.
As everything you said, I think what you didn't mention that I will emphasise here is just the absolute all-star cast this thing is sporting.
Oh, yeah.
Alan Rickman, Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver, Sam Rockwell before he was like a big deal. So
before he was Sam Rockwell.
It's kind of funny. He's there as if he's like, we've got the three big names and he's like one of the supporting cast, but now he's like Sam Rockwell. So it's like
he is essentially the red shirt. That's the part he's playing.
That's the joke. Yeah, he's the red shirt who's worried that he's going to die because he was the red shirt.
But you can't cast a big actor as the red shirt because that defies the point.
Unless you cast the biggest actor possible as the red shirt, and then that's the joke.
That's the joke. Yeah, but then I think if you do that, you have to go and kill them quite early on. You have to play into the
sure,
joke.
yeah. So you cast Robert De Niro as the red shirt.
That's like that's the equivalent to the opening of Scream.
Sure, yeah.
That's what doing that is. If you cast someone huge as the red shirt, you have to play into it then at that point.
Okay. But no, Galaxy Quest is fantastic. It's full of really witty jokes, and I think the other thing you didn't mention was that it's actually got a really heartwarming message about what science fiction and media means to its fans. It's not all cynical, because I think there's the potential for it to be really cynical, and there's cynical points that are made, but there's ultimately this is why it means something to people, and that's why it should be treasured.
As much as it's a deconstruction of Star Trek, it's also a deconstruction of fandom. And that side of it is pretty interesting, especially once you get in and the idea that fandoms can be a good thing, even if at times they can get on people's nerves.
Star Wars. So what's your 12?
Yeah, 12. Continue the theme of movies that we've covered on the show. This is Ghost in the Shell.
In fact, do you know what's good about the 90s?
There was very little Star Wars.
There's only one Star Wars movie.
There's only one, yeah.
And it's universally agreed that it's bad. So
yeah.
No, I don't have to listen to about how good the Star Wars movies were in the 90s. It's great.
You're gonna get that all about the mid-teens, mid to late teens. You're gonna have to live with that.
Yeah, because even the 2000s, some people are delusional and think Revenge of the Sith is any good.
I don't think it's a good movie. I think it's by far the best of the three and has redeeming elements.
I'm going to quote Matt's wife here, because Matt was telling us a story the other day, and I thought this was wonderful. Star Wars Revenge of the Sith was on the TVs at the gym, I think it was, and she turned to him after a few minutes of it being on and said, "This is the good prequel?"
Yeah. Context is important, and it's all relative, right? It's good relative to the two that came before it. It's bad relative to most good movies.
What do you mean most? It's bad relative to all good movies.
I mean, sure. I don't want someone to throw something at me and go, and go, "Oh, you said this."
Anyway, you said Ghost in the Shell. We've kind of deviated from that.
I did. We went off on one because you were a dick. But yeah, no, Ghost in the Shell. We covered this quite a while ago now. It was
Last
about
March,
a year
April.
ago.
Yeah, last March, April.
Yeah.
That's when the
And
new one came out.
yeah, so we covered it just before that, and I think it's fantastic. It's one of the best anime films I've seen. Not the best anime TV shows, but best anime movies. So Peter probably agrees that it is the best one he's seen
I can't disagree with that. That is
because he
that's
dislikes most of them. So,
that is a correct statement. As a fact, that is a pure fact.
but it has some. The animation is fantastic. It really utilizes its animation for its fight sequences and its action pieces, where it does things that sure you could do now with CG, but the way it pulls them off and just has it be seamless because it can, because it's just drawing it, but doesn't succumb to any of the traps that sometimes you get with animation. It doesn't ever feel stilted. It doesn't feel like it has to do big things just because it can. It really plays with its geography of the scene, which again, something that you don't get in a lot of animation.
Honestly, this might have made my list. It didn't, because I do think the ending, like, I mean, I don't think the ending's bad, but it does feel like it's setting up more stuff. I don't feel like it's like a full meal when you get to the end, which is why it didn't make my list. But I actually do think it's pretty good, and the animation's really good,
And a fantastic score.
Yeah, no, very very stylish. I can't deny that. My number 12, also animated, funnily enough, is Toy Story. The first Pixar film, and I remember seeing this in the theater when I was 6 years old, and it was a magical experience. I remember I was taken by my mother, and the theater was so packed that we had to sit separately.
Well, I bet she loved that at 6.
But I was
She didn't give a shit, did she? She was like, that's fine.
I was refusing the shit seats. You see, I was even at 6.
That sounds like you. I believe this.
Even at 6, I was like, no, I'm not sitting there.
Yeah, I believe that.
So the arrangement had to be made. But no, I mean, I don't have to sell Toy Story on people, really, do I?
Everyone knows Toy Story. Yeah.
But as a kid, an idea that your toys come to life when you're not around, because the whole thing is you play with toys and you're like, oh, I'm going to pretend they're real. I'm going to pretend they exist. The idea of them actually existing is just a fantastic idea to a kid. And then on top of that, you have the fact that it actually tells stories of abandonment, and then you add in the fact that it's all about Andy not having a father figure, and that's when you get older, you start analysing it and you deconstruct it and you say, okay, this is what it's really about.
It's got a lot going on. I think it's something that most, if not all, Pixar movies have. Is it works on the multiple layers depending on who's watching. There's always the simple adventure for the kids, but most, if not all, have something there. What the thematic ideas of what they're dealing with for the adult. It's what makes them good family movies and not good kids movies. Is that anyone can get something out of it.
Yeah, and they're usually very well written. And it's funny because you go back now and I remember it being mind blowing to look at the time. Now, of course, we've had CG movies now for 20 years. It's
a little rougher, yeah.
Yeah, it looks a bit more simplistic, but that's okay. It still functions. It works.
I think it's amazing though that that movie sparked a change in animation.
Oh, it did.
Like that is the one that. Okay, now this is the style that we're aiming for.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, I may be getting this slightly wrong, but I remember hearing the bit of trivia that when they rendered the file, the final file, it took over a week to render.
Yeah.
I can't imagine having a power outage after 5 days of it rendering, and just the insanity that I would feel if it all went to shit. I suppose when it's that high risk, you have backup generators just in case. It's souped up. It's hook it into multiple power sources just in case.
But it's funny, because at the time that was the hard way of doing things, whereas hand drawn animation, while it took time, was still the easier way.
Oh yeah, now my computer could render Toy Story in a few hours.
Yeah, exactly. Now that's the cheap thing to shit out. Essentially, if you want a cheap thing, it's CG animated, right? I'm not saying it doesn't take skill. I'm saying that it is easier and cheaper than hiring all the artists to hand draw everything these days.
Do you know what I will say? This is going to sound a bit critical of Pixar, but I think it's a valid thing to say, because I feel like they had the golden era for about 10 to 15 years, and it's been a bit less exciting since. They have solid movies, not outright terrible stuff or anything like that, but not as exciting. And I think much like back in the start of the day with Toy Story, and then with the other films they did in the next like decade, I think they need that strive to do the next thing, like, because they were breaking ground. They were like, no, we're going to prove this is possible. There was this hunger there. There was this passion there, and I feel like it's a little bit different now. It's a little bit lacking because
they're the big dog.
Yeah, now it's just the normal thing, and I feel like them having that hunger to prove themselves was, it showed their work.
Yeah, no, it did. I definitely do. I think there's still to this day only one bad Pixar movie.
And I recall the year it came out that Buzz Lightyear was the hot Christmas item, which was completely sold out. I never got one. Tough times.
I guess you had your chance again when Toy Story 2 came out.
Yeah, I don't know if I cared as much for the time Toy Story 2 came out, but I think my taste in toys maybe changed because
gone past it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was like 3-4 years later, so that's a big difference from 6 to 9.
Yeah, no, that's true.
But not that I dislike Toy Story 2. I enjoyed Toy Story 2 when it came out. But I think a lot of people will prefer Toy Story 2. I would put Toy Story 1 as the better film.
Fair enough.
But hey, what's your number 11?
11. So this is an oddball choice. This is one that I saw in my my
you've not had oddball choices up until now.
This is an oddball choice. As in this is a cult movie rather than a childhood nostalgia movie or being something that's just for me. Okay. This is specifically an oddball choice. This is Empire Records, which is it's a teen movie. Starring it's got Liv Taylor in there. And you've got basically a record store that they work in, and it's an independent record store, and it's about to be bought out by a big corporate chain. And it's one day of these 4 or 5 kids in the store, like these teenagers, trying to save their store. And they've got all this big event on. There's this egotistical rock star coming in, doing some sign-ins and a show, and it's this fantastic movie if you like these sorts of things. Of a day in the life of these teens, and I love it. It's fantastic.
I've not seen it, but it sounds fine.
Yeah, it is one of those that people either love or hate, depending on their tastes. But I think you'll enjoy it. I think.
I like it. I like the idea of it being all one day. It's really just a question: does the comedy work for me or not?
Yeah, exactly. And that's it's a bit more subjective, isn't it? It's hard to guess.
But my number 11, also a comedy, is The Silence of the Lambs. This, of course, a very notable film. One, I think it did the Big Five Oscars. It did the Big Five.
Yeah.
It got both actors, director, writer,
film.
And film. Yeah. That's the obvious fifth one. I don't know why I stalled at that.
That's the big one.
Yeah. It obviously is very good. It's very atmospheric. It's wonderfully dark and brooding. It's one of the most memorable sort of villains of all time, but also, of course, the most memorable. Like when people talk about someone going to get advice from a serial killer, they refer to it as he's the Hannibal Lecter. She's the Hannibal Lecter. It basically ushered in this term we use to describe something when it's doing that type of trope.
It changed pop culture in that sense.
Yes. Now, I might be a little bit of a weirdo, and this might not even be my favourite Hannibal Lecter movie, but it is definitely next on the list, and it is head and shoulders above Red Dragon or Hannibal Rising, which I never even saw Hannibal Rising, but I'm just going to assume it's head and shoulders. I never even saw Red Dragon now I'm thinking about it, but I'm going to assume, hey, Red Dragon's directed by Brett Ratner. I'm pretty confident.
I don't blame you. I never saw it either.
I'm pretty confident that this is head and shoulders. But it's wonderfully broody, and you feel this, like, it puts you in the shoes of Clarice Starling the whole time, Jodie Foster's character, where her, like, wanting to prove herself, but she's constantly disturbed and uneasy by everything around her, by the morbid conversations we're having, to having, I'll just say, DNA thrown at her face. That's the polite way of putting it. Yeah. To the autopsy scene, and everything's wonderfully uncomfortable. Like, it feels so clinical, but at the same time just turned a little bit macabre.
And it's the way that she's always so out of her depth. But
yes.
Trying.
Yes, absolutely. And Lecter can smell that, and he's manipulating it. He
can smell the fear.
He's enjoying it.
Phenomenal performance.
Oh yeah, fantastic performance. Foster as well. They both did good in
Oh
there.
yeah, yeah.
And Buffalo Bill. I mean, hell,
Mm.
he's a good
Great,
villain.
great villain. Yeah.
Great villain. And you know what? I don't think there's a guy alive who, after watching that movie, didn't tuck it between his legs during the shower just to see how it looked.
That's probably true.
That was an admission. That was an admission. Record it.
More of an agreement than admission, but sure. Take what you will.
I'll admit. I'll admit. Not done again in the cinema until Steve Coogan in the Alan Partridge movie.
Oh, God.
Hey, I like that movie. What's wrong with that movie?
I'm not a fan of the Alan Partridge stuff.
I didn't think I was until I just randomly saw that movie, and I was like, "This is actually pretty funny." And I went back and watched the show. It's not bad.
No, I'm not a fan of it. It's strange. I often liked Steve Coogan, but not the Alan Partridge stuff.
Yeah, fair enough. But hey, Sansa Labs, very, very good. What's your number? Oh, we're on 10 now.
This is one that you mentioned not so long ago. This is Toy Story. Because we just went over this in a lot of detail.
A fair bit of detail, yes.
We need to go into it too long, but yeah, it's a fantastic movie, and everything we already talked about. That's why it's top 10.
Very good. My number 10 is Fargo, Coen Brothers movie, of course. This is the murder. I don't know what we call it a mystery, because it's not really a mystery, but it's the cop quirky, like dark but funny. Like it's such a unique tone. It's the Coen Brothers tone. You refer to this as a Coen style movie if something like this happens again. And of course, it's, they've done the show now, and the show is actually very good for the most part in capturing the spirit of this and what it did.
I would say I prefer the show. I like this movie well enough. I don't love it, but I think the show took that and ran with it.
That's fair. I think you've got a fantastic cast. You've got William H. Macy. You got Steve Buscemi. Just stealing their scenes and their moments. Of course, Freeman, his character was very much the Macy character from the movie in a lot of ways. Like there was definitely correlations between who.
Oh yeah, that first scene was kind of a remake of the movie.
Yeah, a little bit different. Obviously they established it was set in the same universe eventually. Once we got far enough.
But thematically, that season is kind of the movie, whereas the other seasons do something completely different.
Yes. No UFOs in the movie.
Would have been improved with UFOs.
Not that I remember, anyway. I mean, maybe someone older. But no, there was actually technically, if you remember, in that one scene, there was a UFO in the background. I'm like, oh, really? Yeah. But no, wonderful characters. I love that the lead detective is this pregnant housewife. I mean, she's obviously a cop, but she's this pregnant wife who, like, she's struggling to move around, and it's this very kind of it's the whole Minnesota Nice thing where she's very casual. She's not like the hard hitting detective who walks in, takes off the sunglasses, like, we're going to find this murderer. She's like, no, it's just a day at the job, it's a day at the office, and she's like, complaining about her back as she's like also solving the crime. It's very different. It's very down to earth in that sense, and it mixes the quirky surrealism with the mundane normality and kind of fuses them in this perfect mesh, and again,
and then
that's
plays it all up with the ridiculous accent.
Yes, so and the accent, of course, yes, which again is now the Fargo accent.
It is, yeah.
So, Fargo.
Do you know what I love about that accent is I don't even know how accurate it is as a Minnesota accent anymore. But if someone tells me a Minnesota accent, I think of the Fargo accent.
That's fair. Yep. What's your number 9?
My number 9. What we got? Oh. Yeah, so another one we have covered on the show. This is The Iron Giant, which I have a feeling you might have coming up in a little bit, but we did cover it quite in depth on the movie. Not quite the best Brad Bird movie, but unfortunately the best Brad Bird movie isn't eligible for this list.
It was in your last decade list. Shut up.
I know, I just want to make a point.
Yes.
I just want to remind everyone that it's not the best one, no matter what you might say. But no, this is a heartwarming tale of a boy and a robot who is Superman.
Okay, keep it simple, to the point. My number 9 is one that you had a bit earlier, and that is Pulp Fiction.
By a bit earlier, I had it in like the first couple.
Yes, clearly the wrong place for it, as one would expect. No, I mean, unlike Connor, I do quite enjoy Tarantino. He has, and I love that this movie's called Pulp Fiction, because that's how I describe his movies in general, he makes the best pulp. They're all pulp. They're all inspired by the movies he loved in the 70s and 80s, and further back than that as well. But definitely the 70s. There's a lot of 70s vibes in a lot of his movies. It doesn't even matter that it's present day 1994. Like well, just Samuel Jackson's like hair and like sideburns as he's walking around. It feels like the 70s. It has that feeling to it. But no, it's an anthology movie. You got all these stories. You got this all-star cast. It's amazing that even though like you think, okay, it's a bit earlier. Maybe some of them. I mean, Samuel Jackson maybe wasn't huge yet because he wasn't yet. But Bruce Willis he was already big. Like
Yeah.
there's other cast members in here who are already huge names. Christopher Walken is in there. Like he'd already built up enough cred to have all these actors.
No, it's one of those that now you tell me a Tarantino cast, I don't bat an eyelid no matter who it is because I expect huge names.
Exactly.
But obviously, this was still relatively early in his career, and it was like, okay, here's some pretty big names for this level of a director.
Yeah, it's his second movie, so. But no, it's funny, it's violent, it's. But again, ultimately, Tarantino, what he does so well is two characters talking to each other. It's the back and forth. It's the inane conversations about cheeseburgers on the way to their job. And when I say job, they're hitmen slash debt collectors. Like they're not. This is not a normal job.
Not going to an office.
Yes, darkly funny, all over the place. It's got so much energy. Like every scene kind of oozes style and presence. Something as simple as Travolta taking Uma Thurman's character to this ridiculous 50s style diner. It's also a dance club, and then going to the dancing competition. There's so much style to that scene. I mean, I'm not someone who really is into dance or cares about dance, but the way that's filmed, the way the camera pulls back, and they just kind of go for it. There's a pacing, there's a tone to it. Like I say, it's oozing style, both in visuals and in dialogue. And that's what makes it pulp. It's the ultimate pulp. It's not like it's super deep. It's not like there's some big, dramatic point that he's making. It's just ultra good storytelling. That's all it is.
Like I said, way back when at the start of this list is, I like this one more than other Tarantino movies because I think it's got a bit of the quirk to it that I can enjoy. It's when what for most people is the draw of the Tarantino movies is the cheeseburger conversations, where I'm kind of like, okay, this is going on too long now. I'm bored.
Nah, you're mad.
Yeah.
You're mad.
Yeah, that's what holds me back from Tarantino.
What's number 8?
My number 8 is one that's already been mentioned. This is Batman: Mask of the Phantasm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because everything that we already discussed. It's this big adventure coming out of the animated series. That is very much they say it's a deconstruction of Batman as who is he and what is he. And why is he? Why does he exist? Essentially,
where is he?
Well, it was not so much where. I mean, I know you're playing to the joke, but that one doesn't. That one's not eligible.
Why is Batman? Yeah,
that was the one I just said.
Who is Batman? Where is Batman? What is Batman?
Yeah, but we don't need who so much.
When is Batman?
What and why, I think, are the key questions the movie asks. What does Batman mean, and why does it exist? Just you have to ruin all that. We're going on too far, but no, I think it does it in a really, really well paced way. That again, something that we talk about animation is, I feel like the pacing can often be really off. Especially with a lot of quick animation, and not that this was quick, but this was connected to a TV show, so you often expect lesser from it. Especially when it was ultimately a kids' TV show, but it is paced fantastically, so that really helps.
Yeah, my number 8 has been brought up as The Matrix, science fiction, cyberpunk. It was kind of a mind-blowing movie for me when it came out. I was 10, and I think I saw it the year it came out. I didn't see it in the theaters, obviously. I wasn't young. I wasn't old enough to actually go and see it, but
Sneaking.
By the time it was at home release, I saw it, and I think it was kind of like a mind-blowing, different type of sci-fi that I hadn't experienced yet. And I don't know if it's necessarily my favourite in this genre of sci-fi, but it means a lot to me because it opened up to that world. And like you said, it actually holds up really well. It's a solidly good film. It's brimming with ideas. It's got cool action sequences, much better than the second film, which they went overdid it with the CG, and it's just like CG.
There are really nice ideas in the second movie in the action sequences. The ideas of what they're trying to do.
Yeah,
nice.
but it looks like a PS2 game.
It does.
Or
Yeah.
whatever, it just doesn't look good enough. Whereas the first movie was mind blowing with when it did the bullet time stuff, when it did the shootout in the lobby, for example.
Yeah, and these are the things that why for a long time I'd kind of forgot about it, because these ideas got overdone and aped because everyone tried to be the Matrix for like the next decade. Everyone wanted to be that, and I forgot how good it was at its core.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Be the one who sets the trend. Don't be the one who rides the trend. Is basically the advice there.
Pretty much.
And it's funny. It's a shame the Wachowskis are so up and down, and they've never really captured this again. They've had a couple of good movies. Like I really like Speed Racer for better or worse.
What was the last great movie that they did?
Speed Racer?
Yeah, when was that? 2008,
something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I never saw Cloud Atlas. Well, no, sorry, I did see Cloud Atlas. Nice ideas, but was really distracting and overlong. A lot of problems with it. I never saw Jupiter Ascending, but everything I've heard,
like trash.
Yeah, everything I've heard has been pretty. Although I have heard it's a beautiful mess. Like it's one of those ones where you can watch and kind of
just look at the scenery.
Yeah, and just be like,
I believe that.
I'd just be like, oh, why did they make this decision? Who are these? It's one you can make fun of as you're trying to figure out what the hell's happening. You got your Matrix sequels, which
less said about them, the better.
Yeah. It's a shame, but
it's few and far between, isn't it?
The Matrix is a goddamn classic. It's like they blew their load in one movie, and then
they just didn't know what to follow it up with.
And I had a lot of fun with Speed Racer, like I said, but it's not in the same league
level
as this. It's a fun movie, but nah. So yeah, Matrix, good. I wish it number 7.
Yeah, continuing the trend of things that have been mentioned earlier, which let's be honest happens a lot at these point of the lists.
Well,
anyway.
it's because it's typically it's the best movies up here, so it makes sense that
they're this is 7. Again, this is one that I appreciate even more watching.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
7 at 7.
You've
I know.
got 7 at number 7.
I've only just noticed.
Jesus Christ, that was intentional. You're.
No, I swear it was.
This is for a cheap pop. This is just play at the cheap seats right now.
I didn't even notice until you said, "Wait a minute." I was like, "What?" And then I looked. It was like, "Oh, 7, 7."
I am suddenly shocked that when we did the last the 2000s countdown, you didn't have 10 things ahead but you at number 10.
I promise this was not intentional. I hadn't even noticed. Look, if I'd noticed, I'd have made a joke about it. I'd have ran into it with that joke. I'd have gone, at 7 is 7. I'd have really gone with it, but I didn't because it just didn't occur to me.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it. Now I kind of wish I'd had it at like 8 or 6, just so we didn't have this.
Go on then. Come at 7.
I'm annoyed at myself still, but no. Rewatching it not so long ago really made me appreciate it a bit more. The depth of it. Beyond, again, this is something that you kind of just remember the core ideas and what's in the box got done to death.
Yeah, you remember the flashy death scenes and what's in the box.
Yeah, but when you actually watch it and it's the characters that really stand out.
I would just correct myself. Crime scenes, not death scenes.
Yeah,
they always die off screen. I'm just making that clear.
I didn't know what you meant, but it's the characters that you don't remember over the decades since you previously watched it, whatever it was. You remember all the big shocking gruesome parts.
Yeah, but it's the characters and the battle of ideals that make it good.
And some of the smaller touches, like just the city as a whole and the way it looks, and then when you finally get out of the city, where there's color, there's a world out here beyond this depressing city.
Yeah, almost to like a fault where no matter what time of day it is, they still need flashlights inside the houses when they're investigating the crime scenes.
This is always just so grimy and just dank.
Yeah, they need good black levels for that. That's one where like I can't imagine streaming it. Like I've got the Blu-ray and I can't imagine having anything with a lower bit rate because that's when you like bright scenes looked almost just as good on like a Netflix or an Amazon stream as they do in Blu-ray, but it's when you get to night scenes and dark scenes where it's like, no, I can see where the bitrate is making a huge difference.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Because you see all the pixel lines and all the so. But hey, so well, we're on number 6. How can I forget that was 7? Number 6 on.
Do we need your 7?
Oh yeah, my 7. Oh, yeah, you're right. I flipped round for some reason. Yeah, my number 7. I was too busy making fun of you to realise what number actually.
To realise that you haven't done yours.
Yeah, my number 7 is back to Tarantino. This is Reservoir Dogs, which I was actually like I wouldn't have said definitively that I liked Reservoir Dogs more than Pulp Fiction. I don't think until I sat down and thought about it. Until
you had to make the call for this.
And I sat down and thought about it, and I went, you know what, Reservoir Dogs is a movie. Despite some flashbacks to sort of explain what's going on, is almost entirely set in one room. It is the minimalist type of bottle filmmaking I love. It's like, okay, he's got a great cast. He's got Tim Roth, he's got Harvey Keitel, Michael Madsen. He's got all these, some of these guys who are his regulars. But the beauty of it is that it makes this entire situation and this tense sort of like thriller out of just them in the aftermath of this robbery attempt and what's happening because of it. It's great. I love it.
Fair enough. It isn't the idea that it's a bottle film, all in one room that puts me off. Because for example, look at last year, Free Fire. Love that movie. I thought it was excellent.
It's not as good as Reservoir Dogs, but yeah, sure.
But no, it's way better because Reservoir Dogs bored the tits off me.
Oh no, no. Again, this is just you coming back to not liking Tarantino's dialogue and pacing.
It is the dialogue, but when I don't like when the movie is all dialogue, and you don't like the dialogue, it's kind of unwatchable.
Oh no, it's fantastic. It's exactly the type of small inventive film I like. It does so much with so little, and I'm so into it when I'm watching it. And then, it has some twists and turns. It has even again going back to the idea of these films being really pulpy. That you don't even know their names. They're just Mr. Brown, Mr. Pink, Mr. White. Like they're just the names, Mr. Blonde. It hits all these points so well. It's really easy to remember a lot of the details because it keeps them nice and simple and has fun telling its story. And like I say, great cast, excellently paced. Obviously, you don't agree with that, but I think it's excellently paced.
I don't have a problem with the pacing. Weirdly, it's the pacing's not the problem. It's just what they're saying is boring.
Okay, fair enough. But love it, and at least in this sense, I know you're in the minority. I feel like I have a lot of people on my side with this. So
I am sure I will get plenty of shit for my opinion on Tarantino. Yes. But I'm used to it.
And then you've got the classic opening scene about tipping the waitress, which is always amusing. But hey, so what's your number 6?
My number 6 is Eyes Wide Shut. This is maybe my favorite Kubrick movie.
That is freaking bold.
Yeah.
What's funny, I'll spoil this now. This did not make my list, and it almost did. And the reason why it didn't is because I feel like I need to watch it again before I make that call.
Yeah, I've seen it a couple of times, and I really liked it the first time. Like I say, it's kind of close, but the second time I loved it.
I was too young to appreciate it the first time.
Yeah.
To put it in perspective, I think I was excited to see boobs when I watched it the first time. That puts you in the right kind of...
About 13.
Something in that region.
Yeah.
12, 13, something in there. And I think, I think the actual nuance and what the movie was about was just probably lost on me at the time.
Over your head, yeah.
Watching it about... Probably 10 years... Yeah, it was the Blu-ray. Because I was getting all the Kubrick Blu-rays, back at the 2008-ish. And I remember, okay, I'll get that one as well. Yeah, I'll get Eyes Wide Shut. I'll watch that again. And I remember liking it a lot when I've seen it again. But I feel like I need to see it again. Because I think if I... Basically, I got to a point in this list, if I couldn't remember the movie enough to explain why I liked it, I kept it off the list.
That's fair. It's such... For me, this is such an intricate movie. There's so much going on that it feels like there should be too much in it. It feels like it almost should be a mess, but it just flows so well. Like, between all these different ideas.
Yeah.
And go on.
I was going to say, it's very confident. Like, Kubrick knows what he's doing.
It is. Like, it's something that a lesser director, this would just be a mess. Because there is so much in there. but it's just this exploration of this man and his relationship with his wife, and just how these certain events affect him.
Yeah, it's insecurity, it's jealousy,
Yeah.
it's all these things.
And it's a beautiful movie as well, which
And
I suppose is to be expected from Kubrick.
yeah, and it's all pretty much set in one night as well. Like,
Yeah.
it does that thing where it's just him one night
Going around the city essentially.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very good. I would not agree it's his best. Like I do think, and I think most people would probably jump in and say, "Nah, there's a couple of films
No,
here."
I get that
Yeah.
this isn't the popular choice, but it's the one that I do like the most. So I like a lot of them. Don't get me wrong, I like a lot of them a lot. That's why they've been high on other lists, when they've been applicable. But this one, it just gets me weird. I love the it's just such a different tone to some of the others.
This is one that will likely place fairly high when I watch it again on this list. But I couldn't remember enough to really articulate why I liked it, and because of that, I said, you know what, it can't go on the list then because I can't actually explain why.
That's fair enough. Yeah.
But I do like it. My number 6, The Sixth Sense.
You did that on purpose, you bastard. After giving me the shit for doing 7 accidentally, you do this. And you knew you had this coming, you prick.
Oh, so good. Sixth Sense, the Shyamalan film that set him on the scene and everyone discovered the name M. Night Shyamalan. Obviously, it's easy to make fun of him now for a good decade or so of really bad movies. And he was a bit pretentious and kind of had his head up his own ass. But he did get that he did get the ego because he got such good praise for his first couple of movies.
It was deserved.
Yes. And Sixth Sense is a really good movie that works no matter how much you've seen it already. It's one of those movies with a twist where the movie is enhanced the second time once you know what the twist is.
It's kind of similar to what I was saying earlier about Fight Club.
You notice things you didn't before. You understand how it plays into the themes better than you did the first time. But it's such a great ride the first time that that's not a negative on the first time viewing either. It works. It's stylish. It's one that gets you teary eyed. I think has a very hopeful ultimate message that it's going for, and one that really works. And obviously you've got Bruce Willis while he was still putting in his A game. Well, before he started phoning it in, which
when he cared,
which he's been doing for a long time. I really hope he's pulling it out for Glass. I really hope this is the one that he's not going to phone it in. Please, Bruce. What am I going to say here? Come on, Bruce. Anyway, but no, Haley Joel Osment's really good. Toni Collette is his mother, also very good. I think that's a performance that gets forgotten more than it should. But her concern over her son, who she thinks is having like mental issues because he thinks he sees ghosts, her frustration at that is actually wonderful. Now she doesn't know that, of course. She just thinks he's got issues. In fact, one of the big scenes towards the end, not to get into too spoilery details, but when he tells her and he just explains it to her, and he's honest with her, it's like a really powerful scene. And that's obviously the scene everyone remembers as the ending because of the reveal, but which I won't get into just for sake, in case you somehow don't know what the ending of The Sixth Sense is. But
I mean, I don't know if there's that many people left that don't, but be respectful anyway.
Hey, there's new people born every day. Some of them will grow up not knowing and can watch it and be blown away. So
that's fair.
Out of respect for them, I do not talk about it.
I do this. It's just there are two types of movies with the twist. There are the type that this plays once and it blows your mind and it's it's great.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you rewatch it, it's like you because you know where the twist is and you're kind of just waiting for it, and it loses a lot of its impact, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the type where like this where it's better the next time around, where you know where it's going and you see the smaller details.
Yeah. And I think he surpassed it. I mean, I think Shyamalan surpassed his own film in general with Unbreakable. I think Unbreakable is his best film. But similarly, I think James Newton Howard did a fantastic score here that only got better with Unbreakable. He did such a unique job with Unbreakable, but it's a great score. So that's The Sixth Sense. And number 6. What's number 5, Connor?
Still not over that shite.
You're trying to think of a film with 5 in the title from the 90s just so you can troll me.
Just quickly throw it in. Yeah, no, I haven't got anything. My number 5 is A Bug's Life. That's right. I think this is better than Toy Story. I think this is a fantastic movie. This is, of course, a an animated remake of Seven Samurai, and it's the the oddballs defending the village, and the adventure that it is to get to that, and of course you got some the animation's a bit better than Toy Story. Of course, at the time it was great. Now it's still it's a bit dated now, but looking at what it was, I think it was fantastic, and this has a great score as well. I think it's overlooked quite a lot.
Above Toy Story is a bold choice, one I cannot quite get behind, but I'll be honest, I don't remember this one well enough to really have much of an opinion on it. I remember thinking it was fine when I saw it as a kid, and what's funny is I believe, let me just double check, I do have the Blu-ray.
yeah, I've got them all.
And I've
still put ones down there somewhere.
And I've not seen it since I was a kid, which means I bought that Blu-ray like 6 years ago and still haven't watched it.
Which again, so you've not seen that since you've seen Seven Samurai.
I suppose that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So I think that'd be an interesting one for you to rewatch with that in mind. Going into it in that.
I've seen Seven Samurai multiple times since I saw A Bug's Life.
Oh, yeah, and I think it'd be interesting for you to watch it with that in mind. I'm sure as a kid you didn't know, you didn't care.
Admittedly, out of the two of these, I think Seven Samurai is the one that we have to do an influx on someday if we're picking one of them.
I'm not arguing that.
Because it's Kurosawa. We've only done one Kurosawa film. We have to start racking up that Kurosawa counter a little
bit. We haven't even done one of the samurai ones yet.
I know, yeah, we did one of his crime films first.
Yeah, very good though.
Oh, it was very good, yes. But hey, so that was what? Number 5. My number 5, one that has been brought up, Brad Bird's best film, The Iron Giant.
Second best. Give it a couple of months and it'll be third best. His confidence.
Poppycock. Now, Iron Giant is heartwarming. It plays into everything I love about kids' movies where it's the kid believing in something the adults won't, but the kid is right to believe. And it's that belief and the hope of the kid helping the Iron Giant that makes the Iron Giant who he is by the end of the film, and ultimately a hero. And you alluded to the Superman connections and parallels. They are definitely there. I love the film. It's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Beautiful. We did an episode on it. You can go and get it.
As much as I'm having fun by saying it's not his best movie, I still had it at number 9. It's a fantastic movie.
Yeah. I mean, I'm tempted to just joke with Connor and put Incredibles below like all of his other films just to make fun of him a little bit.
But you don't mean that, and I know that.
Ghost Protocol, Tomorrowland, and then Incredibles somewhere.
But I might buy from you that you have Ghost Protocol above it. I don't think you do, but I might buy that. But even you, and I like Tomorrowland as well, I don't think you can actually say that is better than Incredibles and mean it. I don't think anyone can say that. That is just a lie.
Of course I don't. I mean, I like Tomorrowland though. I think Tomorrowland got a bad rap.
Yeah, I think it's very good
when it came out.
It's a lot of fun.
I think Tomorrowland's much better than the people at the time would have you believe. But anyway, number 4.
Yeah, so one we talked about at length already, Silence of the Lambs.
Oh.
Yeah, I really like this movie, and this is one where I watched it, and then I went away. I was like, right, okay, I need to read the book now, because I just needed to get more of that story, and I think the fact that it holds up against the book so well, and it really translates that atmosphere so perfectly that I think it's fantastic.
There you go. I've already talked about it, so yeah. I'll move on to my number 4, and it is Roger Corman's Fantastic Four.
I didn't even have the balls to do that as a troll.
My actual number 4 is The Truman Show, which is a science fiction film with Jim Carrey where he, at birth, was put in a dome, a fake world, and he is a reality TV show where everyone is watching him. Ed Harris is in it. He plays like the sort of guy who runs the show. And it is a fantastic satire. And what's great about it is that it came before the real reality TV wave hit, but it's so relevant to all of that. It's relevant to just a deconstruction of media and how we consume media. What's in it? Interesting. I believe Scully from Brooklyn Nine-Nine's in this movie.
Oh, really?
He's one of the guys, because every so often it cuts to like the audience watching. He's one of the audience members, I'm sure. But no, it's a wonderful story about a man realizing that his life is fake and he's trying to break out of his fake bubble. And he starts questioning, is his wife real? Is his job real? He starts to notice things. And it's this journey of self-discovery, but in a really literal way, because it's a sci-fi movie where he's living in a big dome.
Yeah, cool.
It's fantastic. Truman Show is great. Truman Show is another one. Kelly Man in the Moon, where when I first saw it, when it came out, I was expecting a Jim Carrey comedy. I didn't get that. It was disappointing. I watched it again at like 17, 18 and thought, holy shit, this is fantastic. So, Truman Show is very good. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is Jurassic Park. This is, Jurassic Park. Not much needs to be said, is there? It's dinosaurs gone wild. It's got everything. You got all the tension with the Velociraptor. You've got the excitement with the T-Rex. You've got a bit of everything, and you have John Williams' third best work, maybe. Yeah.
Second.
Okay. I mean, I'll go 5-2. I think I'm going with third, but it's phenomenal, right?
I like that our first are probably completely different.
Oh yeah. My second might be your first, maybe. if it's what I think it is.
The Superman.
Yeah, that's my second.
My number 3 is D3, the Mighty Amkin. My number 3 is Jurassic Park. I was going to jump in, but I wanted to make my D3 joke, so...
So you held off.
I held off.
You're the worst.
Jurassic Park, little known fact, to quote Cliff from Cheers, is the first film I ever saw in the theatre when I was 4 years old.
Oh.
And interestingly, I saw it again when they re-released it for the 25th anniversary? Must have been 25th. Yeah, it was 25th. Because it was only a few years. It wasn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know when it was, so I can't help.
Yeah. No, wait, no, 20th, because it was 2013. Yeah, 20th. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just mixing up my math in my head. Yeah, it was the 20th anniversary. They put it back in the theatre. I actually saw it twice then, because I saw it with one group of friends, and then another group of friends wanted to go see it, and I was like, okay, well, fine, I'll see Jurassic
I would
Park.
love to see it in the cinema, to get that experience.
Oh, the rumble of the T-Rex.
The sound. It's something that I say a lot about. Godzilla. 2014. That is one of the best cinema experiences, just for the sound of being in the room. And I feel like Jurassic Park has a similar effect that I'd love to experience.
I think it was one of the first movies that were released with 5.1 sound.
Oh, really?
I think it was. It wasn't Dolby though. I think it was DTS. I think DTS got to 5.1 for releases before Dolby did. If I remember my audio history a little bit, but it was around that time. That was when stereo had been a thing for a while, since for maybe a decade or so before that.
A bit longer than that, I think.
Oh, sorry. Well, Dolby stereo was because it was. Yeah. I think it was like. Because if you ever, and I know I'm a bit of a nerd here, but if you ever get to the end of the credits in a movie and you'll get the audio logos, there was a time before Dolby where it was just like Stereo D or something like that. It was just like a generic stereo like company.
Yeah. But I mean, stereo in audio in general was what, 50s, 60s?
Oh yeah, but it wasn't really in movies. Typically
no, I mean, what, 70s maybe?
Yeah.
70s, 80s. It was a bit longer than just the 10 years, I think.
I'll put it this way: there were still movies in the 70s coming out that the original tracks were all mono.
There were, yeah.
And I know that because before they started remixing them all, like you'd get them on the DVDs, you'd get a mono track for this movie because stereo didn't really kick in. I think it's probably around Star Wars time is when stereo,
late 70s,
when that really started to be a thing for movies. And I think the reason why it didn't become a thing yet was probably because most people at home weren't using stereo for TVs. They were just using a mono speaker.
Yeah, no, it's true. They were starting to move into stereo for listening to music.
Yeah.
But they hadn't got there for the screen yet.
It's funny how long it took for these technologies to gain hold, when nowadays a new technology, like we're going through them so fast.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Anyway, but yeah, Jurassic Park's very good.
Also, you're very lucky to have had that as your first movie in the cinema. That's a pretty good one to have.
It is a pretty good one. What was your first movie in the cinema?
Phantom Menace. I mean, I say that there was probably a couple I saw before that, that I was taken to, but that's the first one I remember.
You could probably get your mother locked up for child abuse.
Oh, she had no part in it.
No, father?
No. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Oh well. Get him locked up for child abuse then.
Yeah, why not?
Give you ginger hair and put you into Phantom Menace as your first movie in the theatre. I mean, that's just cruelty.
To be fair, at the time, we didn't know Phantom Menace was going to be shite. There was an excitement. Number 2, I'm going with a 2. I'm going for it. I'm going with it. You've been making the joke since 7.
T2, Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
It is, yeah.
It's also my number 2. I was going to make the same joke.
Beat you to it.
Only because you're going first for each number.
It's fine. I still thought of it. It counts. I didn't sit here and talk about it and then have you butt in with the joke.
Terminator 2 is fantastic.
It is, isn't it?
Yes.
We spoke about this at length on the sci-fi list.
Yes. And we've still actually done the Terminator movies on in Flux. They will definitely happen someday. When that new Terminator movie they're threatening us with comes out, we'll be doing all the Terminator movies. Even the bad ones, yes, it's happening.
I've only seen the first 3.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no, I've seen half of the 4th one.
It's the 5th one you need to fear.
Yeah, I didn't dare.
Oh, you'll dare. Judgment is coming.
Oh, don't threaten me with it, please. I don't want to.
Oh, dear. Hey, just hope there's never another Die Hard movie so you don't have to watch Die Hard 5. Jesus.
God, please don't make me do
that. Terminator 2 is an example of how you do a sequel.
It is, yeah.
Arguably, I would say Aliens is even a better example. But that's the 80s, so we're on the 90s here. And Terminator is a fantastic film. I mean, I'm at a point now in my life where I'd probably put Terminator 1 a bit higher than Terminator 2.
Yeah, I think we both agreed with that on the
sci-fi list.
Because I had that first, and I said it was probably a controversial choice, and then you end up agreeing with me.
And I think Terminator 2, though, has a lot of great elements that Terminator 1 does not have. I mean, obviously it's higher budget, it's got big, slicker action. The T-1000 was like a groundbreaking thing. I mean, the effects, James Cameron, of course, used CGI in The Abyss. And even that wasn't the first time CG was used, but it was the first time CG was used for something like that.
Yeah. It's funny how we didn't really talk about the CG in Jurassic Park, which was obviously groundbreaking as well.
A year later, worth mentioning.
It was, yeah.
What's funny about Jurassic Park is that was very... I mean, Terminator 2 as well, they're both very good at only using it when absolutely necessary, and they mix it with...
the blend with the animatronics, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think it helps with Terminator 2 that the liquid metal Terminator, the T-1000 that they're using it for primarily, is something that's so unrealistic anyway that you don't necessarily go, hey, that looks wrong. Well, it can't look wrong, really.
No. And it's one of these where it spawned an over-reliance on CG, but these are examples of how to do it right. I think we're slowly starting to get back to this. I mean, as much as you don't like a lot of the newer Star Wars movies, and they do have moments of not great CG, don't get me wrong, they have a strong focus on practical effects as well. And it's nice to see a return to that.
I'll always champion more practical mixed in with the CG. It's funny though, because Cameron with Avatar, it's funny that is so much CG in that movie.
It's all CG essentially, yeah.
Well, no, there's actors as well.
There is, but it's so much of it is reliant on the CG, is what I mean.
But like, I'd argue that he with that movie, like, I mean, talk about the plot or whatever you want, but I think it's one of the best looking CG movies ever. Like, it just is.
It is. I dread to know how long it took to render.
Has that sheen up? Well, that's the thing with computers. Between 2009, it probably was quicker than Toy Story.
Probably, but still longer than your average.
Also, I can't imagine. Like, why would you render it all in one anyway? Like, render 10-minute chunks and then splice it together. God damn it! Don't be a fool.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, there's ways to do it that are more easy and
that are more efficient,
less dangerous. Even if you've only got the one system that can do it, it's still just safer so that there's no problem that wipes the whole thing. I'm just
I agree,
whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, but Terminator 2. This is the story of the robot, kind of like going more towards the Iron Giant side, where it's the robot learning humanity and going over to the right side, and the idea that the robots don't inherently have to be evil, and you've got the story of it's the kid who makes them realize that. It's the kid who teaches them that. And some of the best character development as well for Sarah Connor, who into the second movie
in this one,
completely changed into this other person. So
I think it's funny that we talk about how this and Aliens are great sequels. I think for very similar reasons that you can kind of pick or choose which of them you prefer. Between Alien and Aliens, or Terminator and Terminator 2.
You can, yeah.
It's kind of down to preference because they're arguably equally as good. And it's just, well, which one do you prefer? And because they're just doing such vastly different things to its predecessor.
But I think that's the key in both cases, is that they're doing different things. It didn't just say, oh, I'm just going to make the same movie again. I'm going to evolve it and do something
It's
different.
something that you really, even now, you don't see very often in sequels, but it's one of the best ways to handle it is because you don't give them what they want. You don't give them what they're expecting. You just do something completely fresh.
Yeah. Something fresh that makes sense in the context of the world. Absolutely. Which is why like people make fun of Avatar, and I mean I like Avatar well enough. I'm someone who enjoys it for what it is, but it's why people make fun of it and make fun. And yeah, okay, I admit it's silly that there's like 5 of them planned already. Like I get it, it's a bit much, but he is so good with sequels and like upping the game in the second movie that I'm kind of excited about what he's got planned for Avatar 2.
That's fair. I think my problem is I just don't give a shit anymore. It's been, so long. I don't,
I
the
don't
first
care about
one's
that.
not that special. So I think that's the difference with these sequels. You're coming off phenomenal movies already and then doing something different. Whereas with Avatar, he's coming off an okay movie.
Oh, sure. He's laid some groundwork and he can go do wacky things now. I feel like I'm not someone who gets particularly fussed if it's been too long since the last movie came out. I don't really care. If it comes out and it's good, it's good. I mean, I always have this debate where I don't have this... Like, maybe I'm weird for this, but this idea of expectations, like based on what's in trailers, like, affecting how much I like the movie. Either it's going to work for me, it doesn't. Like, it's never... I never have my enjoyment affected because either it's taken too long or the trailers told me it was something else. Either the thing is what it actually is, what either works or it doesn't. I don't really care if it matches what I was expecting it to be.
No,
It can
fair
be
enough.
it can be completely different. It just has to be good still. But if it's completely different and it's bad, then I won't like it.
Well, obviously, yeah. I should hope so.
If that makes sense.
No, it does.
But hey. All right, that was number 2 for both of us then. So what's your number 1?
My number 1 is the second best Pixar movie in total. And it's Toy Story 2. I think it is head and shoulders above the first one, and I love the first one. But I had to bite my tongue a little bit earlier when you were saying that you thought the first one was better.
Would it upset you to know that I also like 3 more than 2?
A little, yeah. I think 2 is easily the best of that trilogy.
No, it's fantastic, but it's easily number 3 out of the 3 of them.
No. I think it probably goes 2, 3, 1 for me. Yeah, probably. But I think, as I said, I think it's the second best Pixar movie, second only to the now often referenced on this list, Incredibles.
But for the record, we don't need a 4th one. I know they're going to do a 4th one. The story's done.
Oh, I'm with you. I think it works fantastically as a trilogy. I mean, we're getting a 4th one, whether we want it or not, and I'll probably see it because I'm a sucker.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it'll even be good. Who knows? But I don't need it. But I say I didn't need a solo movie, but I really enjoyed it. So what can I say?
I didn't need a solo movie. I did not go and see it. I am much better off for it.
I don't know about that. I didn't need it, but it ended up being a very good, enjoyable, entertaining.
You have no idea how free I feel. Just not going. It feels amazing.
Sure.
It feels like a life hack. Like I'm not miserable because I just chose not to put myself through it. It's great.
But I actually think Toy Story 2 is a perfect movie. I think it's so well paced. I think it's, again, in the same way about we're talking about sequels, I think it takes ideas from the first one and spins it into something different entirely.
No, I mean, I have nothing bad to say about it. I think it's great. I think it's a fantastic film. It didn't quite make the list for whatever reason. Because there was a point with my list where I had like 80 movies, right? And I was like, okay, what am I cutting out? And it became this battle in the lower sections of it, of like, okay, there's these movies that mean a lot to me because I grew up with them, even if they're not the most amazing things. I'm not necessarily saying that Time Cop is a better movie than Toy Story 2, but it made my list, and it made my list because it just, it meant something to me growing up. And I was threatened by one of our audience who would be really upset if Time Cop was the only Van Damme movie on my list. And I know he's hoping for Universal Soldier. I love Universal Soldier,
but it can't be number 1.
And that was another one that almost made the list. It was in that pool. It was in that pool of like 20 to 30 movies that I had to get rid of.
Slash, yeah. No, I get it.
Choices had to be made. It was tough. Toy Story 2 is fantastic. As is the PS1 video game, Toy Story 2, which don't get me wrong, it's a little clunky in the controls now because obviously things have
But at
advanced.
the time, yeah.
But at the time, that is a fantastic platformer where you're going around collecting stuff, and it's Andy's house is the first level, and the second level is Andy's like backyard with all different gardens from the other houses. It's good stuff. I highly recommend Toy Story 2.
There's something about Pixar movies that make great platformers. I know in Disney Infinity they did an Inside Out, and one of the because the idea of that is you buy like expansions, and the Inside Out one was a platformer. That was the whole game of that was a platform, and it was a fantastic platformer. And it really, I don't know what it is with the Pixar movies. They translate really well.
Yeah, I say controls are a bit dated now, but I mean they're still playable. Like I've played some of it on my old PS1 disc and the PS3 not too long ago. But hey, so my number one, and it's not been said before because you've not seen it.
Oh, okay.
And honestly, I'll admit this is a kind of obvious, boring choice, but there is nothing that could beat Shawshank Redemption out of the 90s pool of movies. This is one of these.
I'll be honest, I forgot you hadn't said it yet.
This is one of these movies where I was in high school and I'd mentioned I'd not seen it, and someone insisted on giving me their DVD at the time, right? And of course, I didn't spit on it and say no, I want the Blu-ray because Blu-rays didn't exist yet. So this was the quality of the time.
It was passable.
Yes, I didn't hate standard definition until I saw HD. All right.
Yeah, it's going back. That's the problem.
It's
right?
going back. Yes. That's one thing. When we do that movie topic, one of the extra episodes for Patreon, and we talk about technology changing. That'll be one of the things I talk about is how.
Fun story on that. The first time I went to HD, I don't think I really appreciated it. I didn't really, I thought, oh, this looks nice, but I didn't fall in love immediately. It's when I went to go back to something that I struggled. I was like, what is this mess?
Yeah, I don't remember this being so pixely and like.
What is this blurry mess all of a sudden?
The artifacts, the colours aren't as strong. What's happening? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we could talk for a long time about that.
Yeah. How about we get the Blu-ray remastered version of Buffy and Angel? Hey, Fox. Eh? Get off that fat ass, Murdoch, and get me some Buffy and Angel Blu-rays, you prick. Anyway, so actually, no, I'll start arguing. If Disney get Fox in the library, I'll be arguing at Disney next. You know what? No. Don't give me the original cuts of Star Wars. I don't give a shit, Disney. Blu-ray remasters, original aspect ratios of Buffy and Angel.
I just want to play into the. Why not both?
I'll take both. Both is fine. But if it's one or the other, then.
Well, I'd probably still take Star Wars. It's a tougher choice because at least I can watch Star Wars in HD, right? Mm-hmm. It's not the perfect cut, but at least I can still enjoy it in full definition.
Nah, they'll be getting harassed for Buffy, Angel, and also The Abyss.
Oh, is that a Fox?
The Abyss is Fox, and it's still not even getting an anamorphic SD transfer.
It's the reason I haven't watched it, is because I'm like, well, I don't want to put myself through that mess.
I want to watch it again so badly, but it's unwatchable, the current quality. I need the remaster, please. Yeah. Anytime now, please. Anyway, so Shawshank Redemption, to get onto the movie at hand. So I was told you have to watch this. I was slapped with a DVD, and I went home and watched it. And it was one of those things where I'm like, this is really goddamn good. Because I think like most people, and this is true at the time, like it didn't do very well at the box office. And I think it's because it's a prison drama. I don't really want to watch a prison drama. I think very few people are excited by the prospect of a movie set in a prison. It's just not that exciting. It's not something that sounds like it's going to be cheery. But this is a movie with fantastic characters, fantastic direction, great music as well, actually.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic music.
But it's a movie where you have these characters go on this journey. It is a movie about hope. Outside of like actual heroic movies where there's a hero, obviously Superman's the obvious choice because he's all about hope. But outside of movies like that, it's probably the most purest film about hope that I think I've seen. It's about, Andy Dufresne is put in this horrible situation where he's been framed for a murder and he's serving life in prison. And it's, everyone's like, no, I don't hope in here. That's what gets you killed, But by the end of the movie, Morgan Freeman, his journey is that he begins to believe in hope, that there is reasons to actually believe in it, and there's reasons to hope for better. It is a touching story. It is the only male love,
Word this carefully.
Yes, it's the only platonic male love story that doesn't have a car chase. It's it's so good.
That might be true.
It's so good. There's so many memorable moments, there's so many quotable lines. it is so heartfelt and it's dark at times, but it's so heartwarming at others. It's such a journey. Like, you're so into it. Like, you're sucked into that movie the more it goes on, and you just the ending. By the end of it, you're ready to, like, cheer as the music plays in the end credits. It's just so good.
No, I get it. Do you know, it's weird. The reason that I haven't seen this is going to sound strange, but it's because I've seen probably all of the movie. I've seen a clip here, 10 minutes there, right? That I'm like, in my mind, I've seen it. But I've never experienced it as a movie. But I know everything. I've seen, like, all the scenes individually. So it's like it's kind of weird for me in my mind, where it's like, okay, I need to. I'm kind of waiting till it kind of just settles and I can just appreciate it properly.
It's a definite flux at some point.
It is, yeah.
It's definitely happening. But Shawshank Redemption is very good. And of course, Frank Darabont directed it, went on to direct. I mean, Green Mile was in the first half of this countdown for me, and then The Mist in the 2000s for me. So
a good track record with King.
Yeah, so for some reason, Frank Darabont and Stephen King, you pair them up and you're getting gold. You're just getting outright gold. But that's the list. That is our top 50 movies in the 90s. A weird list. A weird list with a mix of great films, childhood favourites. I feel like the 2000s is where, like, I really started to care about film and take it seriously. So there's a really high concentration of just, like, film, like, not just like movies that I liked as a kid. There's film, and I feel like the older decades are like that as well, because I went out of my way to go back and find the big films that I hadn't seen, and the great films. Now, obviously for me, sure, the 80s will be full of horror movies as well that might be less on the prestigious list.
Yeah,
but it's still a higher concentration. The 90s is such a weird, oddball decade.
These kid things that you grew up with.
Yeah, but I think it is because it's the decade we grew up during.
And I think it's interesting for me is, like, how every decade kind of has like a style. Like, you see an 80s movie, okay, that's an 80s movie. And I feel like 90s, that like house style, so to speak, is one that I just don't enjoy that much compared to most of the other decades. So I watch less of it because of that. Which is, I'm not saying there's no great movies. Clearly there is.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of great movies. I think when I think of each decade, I think of, like, maybe not so much 2000s and 2010s. Like, we're a bit too close to them still, I think. But the 80s, there's several genres that I think, they had their heyday in the 80s. There's 70s, I think, gritty thrillers and crime stuff. 60s, you're going maybe more of the light-hearted dramas and thrillers. Like I see more of a whimsy
you get
in the 60s.
Into your westerns when you get back there.
50s is prime Hitchcock era and all that stuff. I feel like I think of the 90s and I'm like, well, horror was kind of in a shit place.
Sci-fi is not particularly. I mean, there are a few here or there.
Again,
overall,
there's good examples of both horror and sci-fi from the 90s, but they're definitely not as. I mean, sci-fi fares better than horror, though. Like, I mean, just looking at my list here: Terminator 2, Truman Show, Jurassic Park, Iron Giant, Matrix.
Like I said, there's a good 10 or 20, but out of the whole decade, it's kind of few and far between compared to other decades.
Yeah, so I mean,
it's the decade of the drama almost.
Kinda. I mean, the hope is that maybe, like, we'll spend the next few years watching a lot of movies, try to get in more Influx episodes as an excuse to watch more movies, and maybe in 5 years we come back and do a 90s list again, having watched a lot more 90s movies. Maybe we come up with something completely different, and it's like, oh no, here's all these other films that have now.
No, it's true. I think these lists will be fascinating in all of them, not just the 90s, even the ones that we're more confident on with the other lists. Is we're always watching new movies. We try and do at least one a week for the Influx, and other things on top of that inevitably these lists are going to evolve quite drastically over even a year.
So hey, with that said, though, that is the countdown. That is the top 50 movies in the 90s. We'll be back next week with a movie review of some kind. And I don't know if we're doing the Patreon pick next, or if we're doing the next Godzilla movie. Okay, because it's been a while, because we're trying to do those once a month. It's been a little while since the last one, so the next Godzilla movie is coming up next, I think. But worth mentioning, the new Patreon vote will be up soon. I mean, if you're watching this early on Patreon, it won't be up yet. It'll be a few days at least before the votes go up. The results should be up, though, by the time you see this.
Yeah, do we have the winner to announce here for everyone else?
We do, actually. The winner is The Thing. That is what we're going to be doing for the Patreon vote winner over the month of June. And there was some debate, does this belong more in Screams or in Flux? And my thought was it kind of goes either way, but we'll let the vote decide. If people don't vote for it...
It's funny, because we had that debate when we were thinking of the movies, and some of our patrons in the comments on Patreon had that same debate. Like, does this count for here?
But the vote spoke. The vote has spoke, so here we are. So
I think ultimately we did Alien, so we're good. There's precedent.
Yes, there's precedent for some sort of horror. I mean, the difference with Alien is those we want to do the sequels, and they veer more into action, so it just made sense.
The Thing falls very much in line with Alien in terms of where it falls on the spectrum.
Yeah, it feels like that's a good double bill one night is Alien and The Thing. So that's coming up. So yeah, there'll be a new vote up of some kind. Obviously the vault is still there as well, which is the Patreon sort of people can enter movies onto this to watch list. And in fact the vote winner from the past month we just did, My Neighbor Totoro, was the winner of a vote. Well, all 4 options were from the vault, so you can submit movies to the vault if you're a patron as well, and check it. Also look out for sometime the first episode in June of 121 Extra, which is me and Connor doing like a movie topic. The first one is going to be aspect ratios and why different aspect ratios are used, maybe a bit of the history of how we have different aspect ratios, and so on and so forth. So that'll be that's exclusive for patrons. That is a patron exclusive monthly show. The first one will be sometime in June.
And how much do they need to give to get that on Patreon?
That is the $3 tier, or anything above that as well, of course. You always get the lower stuff included, so that's the $3 tier. So go have a look at patreon.com/MailFistTV for the bonuses if you want to support us. You can also support us, of course, by letting us know what you thought in the comments, like and subscribe and all the usual stuff. But otherwise, that's it. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching movies, guys, and we'll see you next time.